The ancient maintenance droid at Deep Space Repair Station Gamma 9 chirped its morning diagnostic report as Sarah Chen drained the last drops of synthetic coffee from her mug. The station's worn metal walls held 20 years of repair history, and she'd been present for the last 8 of them. The droid's cheerful tone belied the station's precarious position. They hadn't seen a customer in 3 weeks. "Status report, Layaris?" she asked, scratching the stubble on her undercut hair. The living automated repair system's holographic interface flickered to life, projecting maintenance schedules that hadn't changed in days. All systems nominal. Chief Chen. Station efficiency at 94.3%. Primary repair bay ready for deployment. Secondary systems. The droid's voice cut off as emergency klaxons blared through the station. Red warning lights bathed the control room in an ominous glow. Sarah's fingers flew across the haptic interface. Unknown vessel approaching on Vector 227. No recognition codes, no standard identification. She magnified the image, revealing a ship unlike anything she'd seen in her years on the frontier. Its hull seemed to ripple like liquid mercury, organic curves defying traditional spacecraft design. Lyara's full scan. Unable to comply. Ship composition interfering with standard scanning protocols. The comm system crackled. A voice emerged, speaking in fractured universal standard. Station Gamma 9, requesting emergency docking. Critical systems failure. Conventional repair methods ineffective. Sarah keyed the comm. "This is Chief Engineer Chen. State the nature of your emergency and transmit approach vectors. Drive core destabilizing. Advanced quantum harmonic resonance cascading. Our engineers, unable to contain." The alien voice carried an edge of panic that transcended species barriers. "Granted. Bay 1. Follow transmitted guidance." Sarah's mind was already racing through possibilities. Quantum harmonic resonance wasn't supposed to cascade, unless someone had been tinkering with experimental tech. The ship maneuvered with surprising grace despite its apparent crisis, sliding into the repair bay like mercury flowing into a mold. The docking clamps engaged with a satisfying thunk that Sarah felt through her boots. Lyara's atmospheric analysis. Composition within acceptable parameters for carbon-based life forms. Detecting trace elements consistent with Class II quantum particle emissions. Sarah grabbed her toolkit, not the fancy diagnostic equipment that gathered dust in storage, but the battered metal box her grandfather had given her when she graduated engineering school. Inside were tools that would look at home in a 20th century garage: wrenches, manual calibrators, and her prized possession, an ancient oscilloscope modified to detect quantum fluctuations. The airlock cycled, and Sarah got her first look at their visitors. 3 beings emerged, their bodies seeming to shift and flow like their ship. Their skin had an iridescent quality that made it difficult to focus on any one part of them. Multiple eyes, she counted 5 on each, blinked in an unsynchronized pattern. "I am Zarith," the tallest one said, mandibles clicking between words. "Chief engineer of the luminous harmony. Our quantum drive." Sarah was already walking past them, running her hands along the ship's hull. The metal felt warm, almost alive. "How long since the cascade began?" 3 standard cycles. Our diagnostic systems can't. "Because they're too complex," Sarah interrupted, pressing her ear against the hull. She pulled out a simple rubber mallet from her toolkit and tapped the surface in various spots, listening intently. "Your quantum harmonics are out of sync because they're trying to autocorrect. The more your systems try to fix it, the worse it gets." The aliens exchanged looks of confusion. "Our technology is among the most advanced in the known galaxy. How can you diagnose without quantum resonance analyzers?" Sarah smiled, pulling out her modified oscilloscope. "Sometimes the old ways are best. Your drive's singing to me, but it's off-key." She pointed to a section of hull that looked identical to the rest. "The cascade started here. Probably a microfracture in your containment field that your automated systems tried to compensate for. But quantum harmonics don't like being forced into alignment. They have to flow naturally. She opened an access panel, revealing a maze of crystalline structures pulsing with energy. The aliens moved to stop her, but froze when she held up her hand. "Trust me, your ship's about to go critical in about 20 minutes unless we let these harmonics reset naturally." Using nothing more complex than manual tools and her grandfather's oscilloscope, Sarah began the delicate process of manually releasing the quantum containment fields one by one. The ship's automated systems fought her at every step, trying to maintain their programmed parameters. "LRS, station-wide quantum dampening field at my mark." She positioned herself by a crucial junction. Now, the station hummed as invisible fields wrapped around the alien vessel. Sarah's hands moved with surgical precision, disconnecting automated systems and allowing the quantum harmonics to find their natural resonance. The ship's hull rippled more intensely, and warning lights flashed across alien displays. Containment failing. Zar-Eth's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The automated systems are the problem," Sarah finished. She made one final adjustment, and suddenly the ship's quantum harmonics aligned with an almost musical tone. The hull stabilized, its mercury-like surface becoming calm. "Impossible," one of the other aliens whispered. "Harmonics. They're perfect." Sarah closed the access panel and wiped her hands on her coveralls. "Not impossible. Just had to let physics do what physics wants to do." Your automated systems were fighting natural quantum alignment. Sometimes the most advanced solution is to step back and let nature take its course. Zar-Eth's eyes blinked in sequence. "Our finest repair stations could not diagnose this issue. Yet you solved it with primitive tools." "These primitive tools let me feel what's happening," Sarah explained, packing up her kit. "Can't always trust computers to understand quantum harmonics. They try to force everything into predetermined parameters. But quantum mechanics, that's more art than science sometimes." The aliens huddled together, speaking in their native language. Finally, Zar-Eth approached Sarah again. "The payment for your services." Sarah checked her datapad. "Standard rates apply, though I'd appreciate any technical data you're willing to share about your quantum drive. For future reference, we will provide full documentation," Zar-Eth said. "And we will tell others of this place, of how humans with simple tools succeeded where advanced automation failed." After the luminous harmony departed, Sarah sat in her office, updating the station's logs. Lars's hologram flickered beside her. "Chief Chen, should I update our diagnostic protocols based on today's repair?" Sarah thought about the alien ship's automated systems, how they had nearly caused a catastrophic failure by trying to force quantum harmonics into predetermined patterns. "No, Lars. Sometimes the best diagnostic tool is right here." She tapped her temple. "Though we might want to stock up on rubber mallets. Something tells me we're about to get a lot busier." She was right. Within a week, 3 more alien ships arrived at Gamma 9, each having heard rumors of a human repair station that could fix the unfixable. Sarah Chen's reputation began to spread through the galaxy, not because of advanced technology or automated systems, but because she understood a fundamental truth. Sometimes the simplest solution was the right one. The station's logs that night contained a simple entry: quantum drive repair completed successfully. Reminder: update manual on harmonic resonance patterns. Note: need more coffee. 3 months after the luminous harmony's visit, Sarah Chen could barely recognize her own repair station. The once quiet Gamma 9 now buzzed with constant activity, its repair bays filled with vessels from across the galaxy. The station's original single bay had been expanded to 4, each one currently occupied by ships of wildly different designs. Chief Miguel Rodriguez, her newest hire, called from Bay 3. The crystalline collected ship is displaying some unusual resonance patterns. Sarah finished soldering a circuit board for a Vexillian trading vessel before making her way to Miguel's position. The crystalline ship before them looked like a massive geometric snowflake, its transparent hull refracting light in impossible patterns. "Their navigation crystal is cracked," Sarah said after a moment's observation, not even needing to consult any diagnostic tools. She could see the subtle dispersion patterns in the light passing through the ship's hull. Probably happened during their last FTL jump. The crystalline being pulsed with blue light, their equivalent of surprise. Our own repair facility spent 3 cycles attempting to diagnose the issue. How did you know? Sarah pulled out her grandfather's old prism from her toolkit. Light behaves the same way everywhere in the universe. Your ship's hull is basically one giant crystal matrix. When light passes through a perfect crystal, it creates specific patterns. The patterns your ship is showing are just slightly off. Working with Miguel, Sarah carefully extracted the damaged navigation crystal and began the delicate process of growing a replacement using seed crystals from her stock. The crystalline being watched in fascination as she used nothing more complex than precise temperature control and carefully timed sonic pulses to shape the growing crystal. This is unprecedented. The being communicated through pulses of light. Our own crystal shapers use quantum manipulation fields. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, Sarah replied, carefully annealing the new crystal. Natural growth produces stronger lattice structures than forced quantum manipulation. In Bay 2, Lyra's was helping coordinate repairs on a massive hive mind vessel, its biological components integrated with mechanical systems in ways that defied conventional engineering. The ship's consciousness had been experiencing what it called dreams, unexpected synaptic patterns in its biomechanical matrix. Your organic circuits are out of sync with your mechanical ones, Sarah explained to the ship's central node. It's like trying to run analog and digital systems without a proper interface. She pulled out a simple multimeter and a biological scanner she cobbled together from medical equipment. We'll need to recalibrate your neural pathways the old-fashioned way. The station's comm system crackled. Gamma 9, this is the merchant vessel Star Seeker. We've heard you can fix unusual problems. Sarah smiled, remembering when such calls were rare. Now they came in hourly. This is Chief Chen. State your emergency. Our quantum probability drive is generating paradox cascades. 3 Guild-certified repair stations couldn't even understand the problem. Understood. Take position in holding pattern delta. Current wait time is approximately 6 hours. Sarah turned to her expanded crew, now numbering 8 humans and 3 alien apprentices. All right, team, let's keep the schedule tight. Miguel finished the crystal implementation. Jun, how's that biomechanical synchronization coming along? Jun Park looked up from where she was literally conducting the hive mind ship's neural pathways like an orchestra. Almost there, Chief. Just need to get the rhythms mashed up. Sarah nodded, making her way to Bay 4, where Aisha Patel was teaching the Zorblaxian engineer how to diagnose plasma conduit problems using nothing but a tuning fork and a temperature gauge. The station had become more than just a repair facility. It was becoming a school, where the galaxy's most advanced civilizations came to learn what they'd forgotten, the fundamental principles underlying their technology. Chief Chen, Lyra's hologram flickered beside her. The Galactic Engineering Guild has sent another message. Sarah sighed. The Guild had been increasingly concerned about their unorthodox methods. What do they want now? They're demanding a formal evaluation of our repair procedures. They claim our primitive techniques pose a risk to advanced technology. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple ships incoming, Lyra's announced. Reading critical system failures across all vessels. It appears to be a refugee convoy. 17 ships, all showing signs of severe damage. Sarah's mind raced, calculating space, resources, and personnel. Clear all non-emergency repairs. Move completed jobs out immediately. Miguel, Jun, Aisha, prepare for triage. Lyra's, get me everything we have on refugee ship classifications. As she watched her team spring into action, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Let the Guild send their evaluators. They'd find a repair station that might not have the latest quantum diagnostics or AI repair systems, but had something far more valuable: human ingenuity and the understanding that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most elegant. The station's log that evening was brief. Multiple emergency repairs ongoing. Refugee convoy status stable. Note: need to requisition more basic repair supplies. And coffee. Always more coffee. Additional note: guild evaluation pending. Recommend stocking up on rubber mallets. Evaluators never appreciate the classics. The guild evaluation ship that appeared at the edge of Gamma 9's sensor range looked like it had been designed specifically to intimidate. Its hull was a perfect geometric shape that seemed to defy physics, covered in pulsing lines of energy that formed complex mathematical patterns. Sarah Chen watched it approach from the station's observation deck, absently tapping her old wrench against her palm. "They're really pulling out all the stops," Jun said, standing beside her. The evaluation ship made their busy repair station look like an ancient mining outpost in comparison. "Incoming transmission," Lyra's announced. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that appeared to be made entirely of interconnected geometric shapes. Its voice emerged in perfect universal standard, each word precisely modulated. "Repair Station Gamma 9. I am Grand Evaluator X227 of the Galactic Engineering Guild. Our scans indicate your facility falls below minimum technological standards for Class 1 repair certification. Furthermore, your methods have been deemed potentially hazardous to advanced systems." Sarah stepped forward. "Welcome to Gamma 9, Grand Evaluator. We're a bit busy at the moment, but your current repairs will cease." X227 interrupted. "Our evaluation takes priority. We have prepared a series of challenges to test your facility's capabilities. Failure will result in immediate revocation of your repair license." The evaluation ship docked with a precision that seemed unnecessarily showy. Sarah gathered her team in the main bay as the guild delegation emerged. 5 beings of various species, all wearing environmental suits covered in pulsing computational displays. "Your first challenge," X227 announced, gesturing to a device that materialized beside them, "is to repair this quantum probability manifold. It contains 37 distinct malfunctions across 11 dimensions of spacetime." Sarah approached the device, which looked like a cross between a disco ball and a Klein bottle. She pulled out her rubber mallet. "You cannot be serious," one of the guild evaluators said. "That is a Class 9 quantum device. It requires—" The gentle tap of Sarah's mallet against the manifold surface interrupted them. She closed her eyes, listening. 42 malfunctions, not 37, she said. "And they're across 13 dimensions, not 11. You've got temporal friction in the higher dimensions that your diagnostics aren't catching." The evaluators huddled together, their suits' displays flickering rapidly as they consulted their data. "Impossible," X227 finally said. "Our quantum scanning arrays are part of the problem." Sarah finished. She pulled a simple stethoscope from her toolkit. "Sometimes you need to listen to what the universe is trying to tell you, not just what your computers say." She pressed the stethoscope against the manifold surface. "See, right here. The quantum harmonics are fighting each other. Your diagnostic systems are trying to force them into predetermined patterns, but quantum mechanics doesn't work that way." Over the next 4 hours, Sarah and her team methodically fixed each malfunction, using tools that would have looked at home in a 20th century garage. The guild evaluators watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as simple mechanical solutions resolved problems their quantum computers couldn't even properly diagnose. "This is unacceptable," X227 declared as Sarah fixed the final temporal friction point using nothing more complex than a modified tuning fork. "These solutions violate guild protocols. They cannot be standardized or automated." "That's kind of the point," Sarah replied, closing her toolkit. "Every ship is unique. Every problem needs a human touch. Sometimes the most advanced solution is to step back and—" The station's emergency alarm cut her off. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, Lyra's announced, reading critical system failures across. This can't be right. It's the entire 7th Mercantile Fleet. The main display showed dozens of ships appearing at the edge of their space, all showing signs of severe damage. Some kind of cascade failure in their linked navigation systems. Jun reported, scanning the data. It's affecting their quantum cores. Impossible, one of the guild evaluators said. The 7th Fleet uses our most advanced systems. They cannot all fail simultaneously. Sarah was already moving. They can if those advanced systems are all linked together, trying to compensate for each other's errors until they create a feedback loop. She turned to her team. Jun, Bay 1. Miguel 2. Aisha 3. We need to isolate each ship's quantum signature before the cascade reaches critical. This is outside protocol. X-227 protested. The guild must analyze. People are dying out there. Sarah snapped. You can either help us save them, or you can stand there and take notes. Your choice. To everyone's surprise, X-227's geometric form seemed to hesitate, then reshape itself. What do you need us to do? The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Sarah and her team worked alongside the guild evaluators, teaching them to diagnose problems by sound and touch when their quantum scanners gave contradictory readings. They found that human intuition, combined with simple tools, could identify and fix problems faster than the most advanced AI systems. It's like an orchestra, Sarah explained as she guided a guild evaluator through a manual quantum alignment. All these ships, all these systems, they're playing different instruments. Your computers try to force them all to play the exact same note. But sometimes you need harmony, not unison. As the last ship was repaired, Sarah looked around her station. Guild evaluators were working alongside her human mechanics, their advanced suits now smudged with grease, learning to trust their senses over their sensors. X-227 approached her, its geometric form somehow conveying exhaustion. Your methods are unorthodox, inefficient, and impossible to standardize, it said. They rely too heavily on human intuition and cannot be properly automated. It paused. They also saved an entire fleet when our protocols would have failed. The guild must reconsider its position. Sarah smiled, wiping grease from her hands. We're not trying to replace advanced technology, she said. We're just remembering that sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. The universe doesn't always follow our protocols. The station's log that night was longer than usual. Fleet emergency resolved. Guild evaluation. Complicated. Recommend establishing new training protocols integrating guild technology with human intuition. Note, guild evaluators surprisingly good at basic repairs once they stop overthinking everything. Additional note, still need more coffee. 2 days after the fleet crisis, Gamma 9 had settled into an uneasy new routine. Guild evaluators now shadowed Sarah's mechanics, their advanced sensors supplementing rather than replacing human intuition. The station buzzed with a mixture of technological philosophies that would have been unthinkable a week ago. Sarah was deep in the guts of a hive-mind courier ship, teaching a guild apprentice how to diagnose neural pathway disruptions using an old electroencephalogram machine she'd modified, when Lyra's urgent alert tone filled the station. Chief Chen, detecting a massive disturbance in local spacetime. Multiple ships are being affected. Sarah emerged from the access panel, wiping diagnostic gel from her hands. The main display showed a growing anomaly at the edge of their repair zone. Ships of all sizes were being pulled toward it, their drive systems failing as they fought against the gravitational distortion. It's a cascade failure in the local quantum field, X-227 announced, its geometric form shifting anxiously. The recent concentration of quantum drive activity in this sector has created a feedback loop in the fabric of space-time itself. In simple terms, Sarah asked, already reaching for her toolkit. The universe is developing a knot, Jun translated, studying the readings. All those quantum drives, all those repairs we've been doing. They've left traces in space-time. Now those traces are tangling together. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. Ships caught in the anomaly's pull were reporting critical system failures as their quantum drives reacted to the spatial distortion. Sarah watched as the guild evaluators consulted their advanced diagnostic systems, their displays showing increasingly concerning predictions. Standard protocols are useless, X227 admitted. This type of phenomenon was theoretically impossible until now. Sarah studied the pattern of failing ships, her mind racing. Lars, show me the quantum signature patterns of every ship we've repaired in the last month. Layer them over the current anomaly. The display filled with overlapping waves of quantum data. To the guild evaluators, it looked like chaos. But Sarah saw something else, a pattern, like music written in the fabric of space-time itself. It's resonance, she said suddenly. Every quantum drive leaves a trace, like a note hanging in space. Usually, they fade away. But with so many ships being repaired here, she turned to her team. We didn't just fix their drives. We accidentally tuned them all to similar frequencies. Now those frequencies are combining, amplifying each other. Like feedback from a speaker, Miguel added, catching on. But with quantum mechanics. Precisely. And we're going to fix it the same way you'd fix audio feedback. Sarah grabbed her modified oscilloscope and her grandfather's old tuning fork. We need to introduce counter-harmonics. Cancel out the resonance before it tears a hole in space-time. The guild evaluators watched in disbelief as Sarah began organizing the trapped ships into specific positions. Each ship's quantum drive signature is like an instrument in an orchestra, she explained. Right now, they're all playing the same note too loudly. We need to change their tune. Using nothing more complex than her oscilloscope and her ears, Sarah began the delicate process of retuning each ship's quantum drive. The guild's advanced sensors confirmed what she could already hear. The spatial distortion was responding to the changing harmonics. This is unprecedented, X227 observed as another ship's quantum signature was adjusted. You're conducting space-time like a symphony. That's exactly what we're doing, Sarah replied, making a minute adjustment to a crystalline vessel's drive frequency. The universe has its own music. We just need to learn to listen to it instead of trying to force it to play our tune. The work was painstaking and precise. One wrong adjustment could amplify the problem instead of solving it. But slowly, ship by ship, the quantum knot began to untangle. The guild evaluator's instruments showed the spatial distortion diminishing as the quantum harmonics shifted into a more natural pattern. Final ship in position, Jun reported, ready for the last frequency adjustment. Sarah held up her tuning fork. This is going to be tricky. We need all ships to adjust their quantum signatures simultaneously on my mark. She struck the fork against her palm, listening to its pure tone. Ready. Now. The space around Gamma 9 lit up with quantum energy as dozens of ships shifted their drive frequencies in perfect harmony. For a moment, it seemed as if the very fabric of reality was singing. Then, like a wave settling back into the ocean, the spatial distortion dissolved. Anomaly neutralize, Lars confirmed. All ships reporting stable quantum signatures. The guild evaluators huddled around their instruments, analyzing the data from what they'd just witnessed. Sarah could see their geometric forms shifting in what she'd learned to recognize as agitation. This shouldn't have been possible, one of them finally said. Nothing in our protocols could have predicted or resolved this situation. Maybe it's time to update those protocols, Sarah suggested, carefully packing away her tools. There's room for both advanced technology and basic human intuition. Sometimes you need quantum computers, and sometimes you need a tuning fork. The trick is knowing when to use which. X227 approached her, its form reconfiguring into what Sarah recognized as their formal configuration. The guild must reconsider many of its positions, it admitted. What we have witnessed here, it changes everything we thought we knew about quantum mechanics and spatial engineering. Not changes, Sarah corrected. Reminds, We've just forgotten how to listen to the universe instead of trying to force it to speak our language. The station's log that evening was almost poetic. Spatial anomaly resolved through application of basic harmonics principles. Guild evaluators showing increasing appreciation for ancient human tools. Quantum mechanics apparently enjoys a good melody. Note: need to stock up on tuning forks. Also coffee. Always coffee. 6 months after the quantum anomaly incident, Sarah Chen stood in Gamma 9's newly expanded observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy move smoothly through their docking procedures. The station had grown considerably, now featuring 12 repair bays and a training center where Guild engineers learned alongside human mechanics. Quantum harmonics class is starting in 10 minutes, Chief, Lars reminded her. The AI's hologram had been upgraded with Guild technology, but still maintained its simple, practical interface. The Crystalline Collective sent another group of engineers to study human repair techniques. Sarah nodded, picking up her trusty toolkit, now supplemented with a few carefully chosen pieces of Guild technology. Any interesting cases today? Bay 4 has a hive mind vessel with desynchronized neural pathways. Bay 7 has a quantum probability drive showing signs of temporal friction. And, Lars paused, its hologram flickering with what Sarah swore was amusement. Bay 12 has a Guild prototype ship that apparently needs someone to hit it with a rubber mallet. Some lessons stick better than others, Sarah chuckled, making her way through the bustling corridors. Human mechanics worked alongside alien engineers, their different approaches to problem-solving creating solutions that neither group could have developed alone. In the main training hall, X-227, now the Guild's chief of practical applications, was demonstrating the proper use of a modified stethoscope to a group of new students. The geometric being had become one of the strongest advocates for integrating primitive human techniques with advanced technology. The key, X-227 was explaining, is understanding that quantum mechanics responds to observation and intention. Human intuition, properly trained, can detect patterns that our most advanced sensors sometimes miss. Watch. The geometric being pressed the stethoscope against a malfunctioning quantum core, its form shifting in concentration. Hear that? The harmonic displacement is subtle, but distinct. Sarah smiled, remembering when such ideas would have been considered heresy by the Guild. Now, repair stations across the galaxy were adopting what they called the Human Harmony Protocol, a combination of advanced technology and basic mechanical intuition. Chief Chen, Miguel called from Bay 7. You might want to see this. He was working on the quantum probability drive. His old mechanics creeper rolled under the complex machinery. The temporal friction isn't just affecting the drive. Look at these wear patterns. Sarah crouched down beside him, running her fingers along the quantum housing. The metal felt wrong, not just worn, but almost tired. The ship's been timeline hopping, she realized. The crew's been using the probability drive to explore alternate futures, but they're not properly resetting their quantum signature between jumps. Like playing multiple songs on top of each other. Miguel nodded, having learned to think in Sarah's musical metaphors. Want me to break out the tuning forks? Let's try something new, Sarah said, pulling out a device that blended Guild sensor technology with an old Earth spectrum analyzer. Jum's been working on this. Let's us see the quantum harmonics and hear them at the same time. The device hummed to life, displaying complex waveforms while emitting a series of tones that represented the quantum state of the drive. Sarah closed her eyes, listening to the temporal discord while watching the patterns with her inner eye. There, she pointed to a specific section. The harmony's broken right there. Time and space are out of sync. Working together, Sarah and Miguel realigned the quantum probabilities, using both Guild technology and human intuition to restore the natural flow of time around the drive. The ship's captain, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, watched in fascination. We had heard the stories, the captain said, their form pulsing with approval, but to see it in person, The way you blend the old and the new, the simple and the complex. It's remarkable. It's necessary, Sarah replied, cleaning her tools. The universe is too vast and varied for any one approach to work all the time. Sometimes you need a quantum computer. Sometimes you need a wrench. The trick is knowing when to use each. Later that evening, Sarah sat in her office, surrounded by a mix of ancient repair manuals and guild technical documents. Jun and Aisha were leading an advanced class on quantum harmonics. Miguel was mentoring a group of guild apprentices, and the station hummed with the sound of problems being solved through the combination of human creativity and alien technology. Lyras, she called out, update the station logs. The AI's hologram appeared, ready to record. Gamma 9 station log. Final entry for today. The integration of human harmony protocol continues to exceed expectations. Guild engineering students showing remarkable aptitude for basic mechanical intuition. Human mechanics advancing their understanding of quantum mechanics through practical application. Note, the universe's song continues to surprise us. We just have to remember to listen. She paused, then added with a smile. Additional note, finally fully stocked on coffee. Though at the rate we're growing, might need to order more soon. Outside her window, ships of all designs moved gracefully through space, their quantum drives humming in harmony with the fabric of reality. Each one represented a problem solved, a lesson learned, a bridge built between the simple and the complex. Gamma 9 had become more than just a repair station. It was a symbol of what was possible when advanced technology and human intuition worked in concert. Sarah picked up her grandfather's old wrench, feeling its familiar weight. He would have loved to see this, she thought. A future where the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy were learning that sometimes the simplest tools, guided by human experience and intuition, could solve problems that the most sophisticated computers couldn't even properly diagnose. The station's proximity alert chimed softly, announcing the arrival of another ship seeking repairs. Sarah stood, grabbing her toolkit. Somewhere out there, a problem needed solving, and whether it required a quantum computer or a rubber mallet, she and her team would figure it out. After all, that's what humans did best, finding simple solutions to complex problems, one repair at a time.